Hola, ¿cómo estáis? Una vez más, un otro update conmigo, 500 horas. Now, unfortunately, I will not be doing this update in Espanol. In fact, I've not long finished getting some input, which I gained inspiration from. Now, I'm sure you can guess which teacher I was watching. Drumroll, please. Angela Mexicana. Of course it was. Por supuesto. So yeah, 500 hours. I'm at the halfway point to where I want to start talking. Now, this update has come with a bit of an added title, a bit of spice if you like, and that's that comprehensible input plays mind games. Now, I'm sure a hell of a lot of you on the other side of this camera, on your side of the screen, will agree with that. But if you don't agree with that, or that seems kind of vague to you, don't worry because I'm going to explain that. So yes, welcome to my channel, Gringo to Bilingual. I have been learning Espanol since October last year, comprehensible input wise. I did start in July last year, but that was in more the traditional sense where, with grammar, vocabulary, flashcard, all of that dullness. Now, so yeah, I can't it since October because I didn't know a lot. So yeah, I mean, usually in my updates, I tend to follow quite a strict structure. But today it's Bank Holiday Monday. I'm feeling relaxed. I'm in chill clothes, so we're just gonna talk about some of my concerns and what's going well as well. Of course, I like to end on a positive note. Now, back to the title: Comprehensible Input Plays Mind Games. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why I wanted to add this in. That's because as of very recently, in fact, as of this morning, I've been having difficulty. I've been having trouble understanding, which I would class as should be relatively easy content. Let me give you an example. Now, usually when I'm watching the Spanish dialect, I'm watching intermediate content, obviously, usually rating around 61, 62. And a lot of the time, I'm understanding 90 to 95% of that content, which is fantastic. I'm feeling great. I'm involved. I'm understanding small jokes, and I'm starting to get a grip of the grammar as well. So that's fantastic. But I can swap it up for maybe something Latin American or maybe something even in the Spanish dialect. That'll be rating 58. I'd be completely lost and overwhelmed. Now, there are many factors that could play on this, that could be involved in as to the reason why I'm having this issue. I've already identified one of them, and that's the Andalusian accent. Now, it's a bit of a funny subject, this, and you'll understand later why. Now, when I say Andalusian accent, when I refer to dream in Spanish, obviously, I'm talking about Andres. Now, I think he's a fantastic guide, but I can sometimes get lost within what he is saying. I can get quite confused and I can sometimes feel quite overwhelmed. Um, and that is a bit of a concern for me because, at 500 hours, I expect it to be further along than what I am in terms of being able to understand the variation in accents, whether it be Andalusian, whether it be Catalonian, whether it be Colombian, Venezuelan, Argentine, Mexican. I expected to have more of a grip. And in hindsight, I think I do. I just think there are times in my day, or the odd day or so, where I'm feeling tired. For today's a perfect example of that. You know, I didn't have a great night's sleep at all. I woke up tired, but I was awake at like 5:45 on a bank holiday Monday, 5:45. And once I'm awake, I'm awake. This is when I get a lot of my input. I usually get an hour and a half of my input as soon as I get up, or half an hour after I've awoken. So yeah, that has definitely has a play of it. A play in it. Sorry, should I say? Um, Talking about, I mentioned quite a key phrase there. One of my concerns. I thought I'd be further along than what I am at this point. And what that means is, put it this way: at the end of May, the end of this month, today's the 5th of May, by the way, I'm recording this video. I'm going to Valencia for 5 nights. Now, if you've watched my first ever update, you will know that I went to Barcelona last year, same time of year that the half term for the kids, the school holiday half term. I went to Barcelona, and that's when I got back. That's what triggered me to want to learn Spanish. So, so yeah, it's quite a big moment for me. Now, obviously, I also mentioned that I'm not wanting to speak until I get to 1,000 hours, which is true in day-to-day conversation. But going to Valencia, I'm going to want to be ordering. I'm going to want to be ordering a coffee at the cafeteria. I'm going to be wanting to be able to speak to somebody at the till in the Mercadona. I'm going to be wanting to ask questions in the market. I'm going to be wanting to we say tabang here. We wanted to own in on people's conversations in the street when they're speaking Spanish, see what I can pick up. I'm really excited. But I really have to think about how I want to say the things that I want to say. And that's understandable. That is understandable. I think it even says that in the roadmap as well, at 5 to 600 hours, if you start speaking, you're going to feel a little bit like a child. And that is exactly how I feel when I try to speak. In fact, there is a guy I work with, he's Cuban, and I've tried to have little conversations with him, and well, to be honest with you, he's quite a funny guy, and he's always trying to give me, I'd say, he's always trying to give me advice, consejos, when I'm in Valencia, and specifically how to speak to women, and they're always quite crude, so yeah, I tend not to listen to him with that. But yeah, so they're my concerns, and that's why I think comprehensible input messes with the mind, because one minute you're absolutely fine and you're understanding and you're full of confidence and you can't get enough, and then the next day you are really struggling. Another factor could be topics as well. Having an extensive amount of vocabulary in one topic. For example, I'm quite very comfortable with topic of travel, viaje, but whereas, for example, Valley, I struggle. So maybe I have my vocabulary is limited in terms of when it comes to vegetables, it comes to farming, it comes to buildings, things examples like that. So I really feel at the minute I'm in the middle ground, maybe early middle ground towards fluency, because of this, the different strengths I have within different topics when it comes to the vocabulary. So that could be a really good indicator as to why I'm having really good days when I'm up here and I'm on top of the world, and another days where I'm really struggling and I feel overwhelmed and a lack of confidence, and that leads me to struggle to get my input for the day. Talking about input for the day, actually, I'm hitting 3 hours every day, relatively easier. Odd day I might feel it's a bit of a challenge, but I do always manage to get it done, which I'm quite happy with. 3 hours a day. In previous updates, I've mentioned that it was causing me a lot of stress, and I had to back off from it a little bit. But right now, I'm feeling quite comfortable with 3 hours a day, and it fits into my routine really well. So that's that. In terms of content that I'm watching now, Jimmy Spanish is as good as always, of course, and I utilize Jimmy Spanish a hell of a lot. But I'm also using YouTube a lot now. There's a video Pablo has made talking about how to gain input from YouTube, and he talks about setting up your own YouTube channel, which I've done. I've named my channel Spanish Content, keeping it simple. I've set my location to Spain, and I'm searching Spanish content up within that YouTube channel. So what it's doing now is it's recommending content for me at my level, which is really good. Some of it is quite challenging as expected, but that's good because that provides me with the variation that I need. Because everything is not all bad, today, this morning, I had a bit of a trouble, but I'm also reaching out and dipping my toe in native advanced content as well, just to gain that exposure, which sometimes I can understand up to 70% of, which is, when you're looking at the longevity of things, that's really good, because I'm only 500 hours in, well, 513. So I'm really hoping over this next 100 hour, I'm gonna make some more. I'm gonna make greater steps towards comprehension. But back to what I was saying, talking about where else I'm getting content from, where else I'm getting input from. YouTube. Now there is a few YouTube channels that I utilize. One of them is Juan Fernandez. Now Juan Fernandez, I believe, is Andalusian. This is where things get a little bit contradictory, I suppose. Andalusian, Juan Fernandez, and he just talks about random things. He lives in London, so it's quite interesting to hear a Spanish guy talking about his life in London. He's an older gentleman as well. I'd say he's late 60s, early 70s. I hope I'm not offending him. Not like he's going to watch this video, but I utilise a lot of his content now. He's really chill. He's really comfortable in being in front of a camera, and he really just seems quite day to day. And he makes his comprehensible input quite fun as well. So yeah, that's one of his channels. Another channel he has is Spanish con Juan. Now this channel is aimed more at teaching. So he speaks a lot more about grammar, a lot more about vocabulary, and he's also quite relaxed in this, and he uses a lot of colloquial terms, which is handy. When he uses these colloquial terms, he has edited his video to say what these colloquial terms means in your standard Espanol, and also the English translations underneath. Now, I'm not a big fan of looking at translations, I must admit. I started learning comprehensible input with Dreaming Spanish, and I really have got accustomed to learning the way Pablo advises, which is, to not use subtitles and stuff like that. But that doesn't mean I don't use subtitles. On some of the more advanced videos, I will turn subtitles on just to see the words. Because I'm interested, once I get to 600 hours, I want to start reading. In fact, I've already bought a book. Sorry, I'm going very off topic here. This is why I need structure in my videos. I bought a book. I bought a Spanish book, and it's El Principito. I got this off worldofbooks.com. I think it cost me like £8. So if you are wanting to start reading, World of Books is a fantastic website to get yourself on there, and to have a look at what books you are interested in buying. So this is El Principito. Pablo actually speaks about this book in a video. He's read this in multiple languages. I think he's read it in French. He's read it in Espanol, obviously. I think he's read it in English. He's in this video. He's got the book in. It's like a Spanish language, but it's the Jewish version. I don't know what it's called, but that's an intermediate content video. I'm sure you'll come across it. Now, I've just realised how long this video actually is, so I'm going to speed things up. Other YouTube channels that I'm watching now, watching Spanish Boost. Now, Spanish Boost is a fantastic channel. It was created by a guy called Martin from Argentina. He has got a few channels under Spanish Boost. Number one, his first one was Spanish Boost Gaming. Now, that's fantastic. Obviously, Dreaming Spanish have videos, have content where they're playing games and you're learning from watching them on the game. Now, this is just another version of that. I don't know which came first. Doesn't really matter. So he's got Spanish Boost Gaming. He's also got his girlfriend on there, Mila. She's a fantastic guide, fantastic teacher. She's really helpful, and she's really, really clear in the way she speaks. And that is Spanish Boost with Mila. And also, Spanish Boost, Martin, has created a new channel, a native level channel, which I have started utilizing today, in fact, and that is under the YouTube channel name Martin Clark. All of these YouTube channels that I mentioned, I'm going to tag. I'm going to write in the descriptions. So don't worry, it'll all be there for you. Two more YouTube channels I'm utilising. Andrea La Mexicana. Obviously, I mentioned her earlier. Fantastic guide. And she's left Dreaming Spanish now, hasn't she? She's left. She's gone her own way. She's gone her own direction and made her own Comprehensible Input YouTube channel. I believe she's got her own pagina web, her own website. Good for her, because she's fantastic and she could definitely gain success in this sector. Good for her. The last one is another Andalusian, contradictory, which I find relatively easy to understand at times, but the level is more advanced. Now, YouTube channel is called Spanish Language Coach, and that's a guy called Caesar. He's also lived in London for a bit. I believe he's back in Spain, living in Valencia. A fantastic teacher. He's one of them. He's another guy. He mixes comprehensible input with teaching at the same time. He has, words that you might not understand, colloquial language. They pop up on the screen with the English translation underneath. Once again, I try not to look at these, but it's very hard to ignore. Yellow and blue subtitles that pop up right between his face here. So yeah, like I said, I'm going to put all of these YouTube channels in the description, so don't worry about that. And it's not all been bad, it's all been good. Like I said, I've had trouble understanding some content, feeling overwhelmed, but there has been one very, very, very important factor I've not told you about. Now, before I started watching Dreaming Spanish in October last year, I was learning the traditional sense and I wanted to get some input. Now, I had an idea in my head that if I watched Spanish TED Talks and translate, if I got the transcription and I looked at each and every word that was being said and translated it into English, that I would be able to figure out more and understand it in a more time-effective manner. Now, one of these videos was from a guy called Florian Muck. I think that's how you pronounce it. His second name with the U has got the two dots above it. He's a German guy, but he speaks great Spanish. And this video was about uniting Europe. He's an entrepreneur, he's a businessman, and this TED Talk was in Barcelona. Now, when I first started watching this TED Talk, I didn't understand anything that was being said. If it wasn't for the translation, I wouldn't have had a clue. But obviously, a lot of time's passed since then, and I can't remember it. But what I thought I'd do is I'd go back and watch that video, and Lord and above, I understood 90 to 95% of that video, which was amazing. Absolutely incredible feeling to go back and to see the progress that I have made in, let's be honest, very little time. October to May. What's that? 5, December, November, 8 months. 8 months. And I understood 90 to 95% of it. So yeah. What am I going to do from now on? So I'm coming up to 600 hours. Crazy. I'm wanting to start reading by 600 hours, maybe 650, 700. But when I get to 600 hours, I'm going to do another update. Guys, thank you for checking in on this video. Please leave any comments, any questions you've got for me. I do always try to get back as quickly as possible. My notifications are rubbish, so I will keep checking daily to see if anybody has had any input or wants to ask any questions, or give me some advice as well, guys, if you're ahead of me, or even if you're below me, if you've got less hours than me and you've got some advice that you think might help my problems, please get in touch. I do really enjoy seeing the comments and seeing what you guys have to say. Have I got anything else I want to say? No, I think that's it. Guys, thank you for coming, for checking in. Take care. Bye-bye.